Please listen carefully.
It's time for The Craft. Crafting business, relationships, and of course, the world's best cocktails. Live from the iconic Scottsdale landmark, Hotel Valley Ho. It's The Craft. Here's Robert.
I'm Robert and Arlen, and we are here at Zuzu Lounge recording The Craft Podcast, the art of business, relationships, and cocktails. I have with me Scott Marion today. We are here every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. at the Hotel Valley Ho. And if you have not been to the Hotel Valley Ho, I advise you to check it out. Right now, we're coming into season again. These seasons just move here in Scottsdale, and it's a sunny 78 degrees, I believe, here today, and it's January. So don't move here because you heard me talk about the weather. Move here because you're going to bring something of substance to us here in Scottsdale. All right? Scott, say hello to our Craft Podcast audience.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm glad to have you here. And I've known you for a while, and I got to tell you, we got a chance to kind of hang out and spend some time together last weekend, and it was great because we didn't have anybody around. It's just you and I, man. We were just like really getting to know each other, even on a whole nother level. And I know you're going through, you shared you were going through some things that I've gone through. So it's amazing how that relationship just kind of went into its own. We just had our own little sphere going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
I feel like in any networking scenario or any friendship scenario, the deeper you get, commonalities, right?
Right.
And what he was referring to was that someone in my family passed away, and he's had the same thing happen. So the commonality there, the feelings, that the things that you could go through, I found that over my years in networking, right? The more personal you get with people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And that's the same thing that happens when I'm door knocking, right? If I'm door knocking for solar, the more I give myself to the customer, giving background, etc., I'm going to get a better response. I'm going to potentially have more potential for sales.
Absolutely. You know what's really impressive to me is I've known you, I've known about you, I've followed you from a distance, I've followed you up close. I've been able to do some business with you in my past businesses, which has been always a great experience. We've never had any issues of anything. You've always been on top of everything. But what I did notice is that at some point I noticed there was just this change in you that just came out like bam. Where's the old Scott, right? It's kind of like when the first time I was in sales. And I was working for this company, and I was the first African American to knock on doors selling law books. And I knock on this door, and they walk in. They're saying, well, where's the old guy, right? That was here before. You know what I mean? It's like, but my point being is, change is good, and it was good for my customers at that time. But watching you just go through this internal change, or realizing that you've been going through this internal change. I mean, you came back and we're talking about insurance one day, and next thing we're talking about is yoga and all these other things that were going on. I'm like, how did we get there? So tell me about, this journey that you went from this professional career, of this owning this company to focusing on yourself as an individual.
Got it. Yeah. So a little bit of background on me. Grew up here in Scottsdale since third grade. I was born in Dallas, and grew up down the street, Cochise, Cocopah, Chaparral, Brophy, graduated from Desert Mountain, then went down to U of A, got a business management and marketing degree, and right out of college I was lucky enough to own a farmer's insurance agency. So that's what he's referring to, and owned that for approximately 15 years. And at a certain point, I felt extremely stuck. I thought that my life was, I thought I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I had anticipated doing insurance my whole career, and at a certain point, it just didn't make sense anymore. And what started the change for me, what started my transformational journey, ended up being able to go to Landmark Education. And from there, I also went to Psi seminars. And both of those 4-day seminars helped me see what I couldn't see and know what I couldn't know. And the best analogy I give to people is it's just like a horse with blinders on, and then all of a sudden you take the blinders off and they can see the world in a different way. And so that was really stage one for me. It helped me sell my insurance agency and know that there was something else out there for me, right? And then after I did that, I took about a year off and, started doing a lot of self-help, more self-help than normal, reading books, watching The Secret. I ended up going to California and seeing one of my buddies from college. And I was showing him, I was so excited about The Secret, and I was showing him all the things in it, and because we were kind of at a point where we were changing things in our lives, and he was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "I already know all that stuff," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to Kundalini yoga," and I'm like, "Kundalini yoga, okay? I've never heard of it. Don't know what it is. Let's go, right?" So. Kundalini yoga is called the yoga of awareness. It got brought over in the 60s, and it's very, very similar to Landmark and also very similar to Psi. It's retraining neural pathways. So you're working on sets. Every set is different. They have thousands of different sets.
So when you say neural pathways, I want to break that down. What does that mean?
Neural pathways is my version of it. Let's just say my version of it. My version of it is subconsciously how you have reactions to things. Subconsciously how on day-to-day tasks you continuously, for example, a daily routine, right? You get up out of bed, you do X, Y, Z, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you drink your coffee, right? You could do those in your sleep. The best analogy I have of the subconscious is if you were to drive home right now from where we're at the Valley Hill, you could do it while doing 6 other things and get to your house and be like, how did I get here, right? Subconsciously, you drove yourself home. So that's what I really wanted to work on and was really, really hyper-focused on, because there were a lot of things that I wanted to change personally. There were a lot of things that I didn't know that I didn't know, like recurring patterns and themes that I had in relationships, with recurring patterns and themes that I had in business. And how to retrain those neural pathways is basically, the first step is to even know that they're there, right? Even just the recognition of them, right? Being able to pull them out from the subconscious to the conscious, and then choose to either continue with them or to make them different, right? Now, changing neural pathways is not an easy thing, right? Changing a subconscious belief, changing a subconscious way of doing and living life is takes a lot of effort, right?
It's interesting that you say this. They say that 97% or greater of the people walking the face of the earth operate from the standpoint of their subconscious awareness versus their conscious awareness. Think about that.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy, isn't it?
No, it's wild. Yeah, I mean
it's like, so like you say, that and it explains a lot. But people don't want to, take that time to understand, hey, I can have this belief, because basically what you're talking about is belief systems. Those belief systems are imprinted in us, and but I can choose my beliefs too, right? I can train myself to, and I'm just putting what you're saying into another language.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, the choice is the biggest thing, right? Having a choice versus it automatically happening, and you don't even know that automatically happened. Right. And so in Kundalini, we work on all different things related to that, right? So you could have a set on your third chakra. You could have a set on getting rid of your past. You could have a set on prosperity. You could have a set on, there's a million different sets.
So
you never know
what
you're going to
start to understand where the cause is coming from by identifying those particular things. That is it money? Is it what is it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Same thing. Similar to what a Landmark or a Psi was doing, but they're clear and direct concepts, right? Versus we're working on physical and mental at the same time in a yoga experience, right? Versus like, for example, Landmark. It's like, okay, what are your 3 best traits, right? Okay, here's my 3 best traits. Well, that's amazing, because that's helped you get to where you are today and why you are the person that you are. But where did those traits come from? Why are you kind, caring, and hardworking? Right? So that's what Landmark showed me. Landmark showed me those types of patterns. It showed me how to see those types of concepts that I feel like everyone should be educated on, right? That's one of my biggest things with what's coming for me, which is Elevated Life Foundation, my foundation, right? I want to be able to give kids the concepts that I never had while I was growing up so that they have a choice. Because if they have a choice, then at least they have a choice, where I didn't have a choice, right? When I had ADD and I had antidepressants and all that stuff, I was one of the first people on Ritalin, and going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, like a high crash, right? I want kids to have that choice and understand that they can do different things beyond having to take pills. Right. So that's my end all goal with the change process of me of doing better for myself, but not only doing better for the world. Right. My goal is to help change. Like the company that's already in existence has, they teach 4,300 students a year. Right. I mean, that's amazing. They're
what you're saying is,
waves.
In my discipline, in my language, it is, how do I change my limiting beliefs and my false narratives into the narrative that I want?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I can write my narrative
rewrite your narrative.
I can rewrite my narrative of what I want to be. It doesn't matter what happened in my past, what happened yesterday. What is, and I see the same thing. I think the reason why we connect is because of the calmness. Mm-hmm. My life is chaotic, and because it is what it is. It's chaotic because of other scenarios, other people, but it doesn't mean I have to embrace or bring that chaotic into my behavior, out to, if I were to take in and put out the energy that it was, and I didn't have that ability to filter and understand that, has nothing to do with me. The way that person reacted has nothing to do with me. The way that person honked at me, in the parking lot has nothing to do with me. I remember, I'm consciously aware. I remember blowing off my patio, and there was an older couple sitting across the way, and I didn't notice them right away. And so the dust was and they were 30 feet away. But as soon as I did, I shut it off. Like, I can do this later, right? And I said, I'm sorry, what most people, I apologize, I didn't even recognize you guys were there, right? I mean, it's just that awareness and the fact that I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to do anything. It's my patio, my space. I can blow it off anytime I want, right? And it's amazing how people are not connected to the fact that, now, if I'd have responded another way, I could have taken that same energy for the entire day, for the entire week, for the entire month, and just have that negative presence about, it's just about me.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, in relation to another analogy would be when I door knock, right? People, I knock on the door and they open the door like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? They're screaming at me, and I'm like,
well, let's segue into that. Let's go. We're going to segue into that right now, and then we're going to segue we're going to end with your I want to talk more about the foundation, right?
Okay.
Let's say, so what do you do? I mean, you got this awareness, spiritual, this halo going around you of, your aura is, you walk into a room now and, people are just like, that guy is so calm, cool, and collected. Talk to me about your business. What do you, how did you take that into this most difficult scenario that, for me, I'm afraid, man. It'd be like me going into the ghetto, even though I'm black. I don't like going in the ghetto, right? I don't want to drive in the ghetto, what I mean? It's like, I don't want to have anything to do with it, right? But you know what? Sometimes you got to go, right? That's how much fear when I hear what you do.
Yeah.
Tell our audience, what is it that you do and why did you choose that and what's it all about? Talk to me.
Got it. So now, after selling insurance, now I own a solar sales company. So I door knock every day, and
you just go straight to people's house.
Oh yeah, all over the city. It doesn't. I don't try and go to places where I would have to worry about things happening, where people pull guns or pull whatever. But
I mean,
you
fooling people still like
you never know. And I would tell you this: I did have, for the first time in my life, I was in Cave Creek, and a dude didn't actually pull a gun on me. He had one in his pocket. And he was readily letting me see that it was in his pocket. But so in those scenarios, you could react like the honking person at you on the freeway that cut you off, et cetera, and keep that energy, that negative energy. But what I've learned is that, to be calm and to say, you know what, I apologize to bother you, and you move on. Either that.
How does this work? You just walk up to a door, you knock on the freaking door, you just like.
Yeah. So I'm knocking on doors, and it's the energy that I bring to the door. I would tell you that. I mean, if I'm happy, most people can't be angry at a happy person. So when I knock on the door, I make sure there's techniques that I'll do. I'll make myself smile at the door, just like I'm smiling and dialing, right?
Right.
And I basically will, right before I knock, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this person to have a conversation with me, and I'm gonna be happy and give them positive energy. And so when I knock on the door, I'm smiling. They open the door. Hey, how's it going?
So tell me the best experience, because I'm gonna ask you the other side, flip side.
Got it.
But we always start with the positive. Tell me, like, what has been like in your top three, one of your top three.
As far as just randomly knocking on a door.
You knock on a door, just like what?
Randomly knocking on a door. So top, I would just say one of them. I knocked on the door and we started having a conversation. Ended up being 45 minutes long. They ended up inviting me in. Had some food. Sat down. Talked with the family. And
that's what I'm saying.
And then ended up getting them solar. Right. I mean, but I wasn't trying to sell them. Right, that was the first thing that happened, and that's when one of the best things that I've learned is try and find some commonality quickly. Right, whether they had a sign in their front yard, whether the car, whether I'm always looking for things like, for example, a license plate. If there's a license plate as a veteran, right, also thank you for your service, right, and then I'll ask them about that. If they have a flag up for the Cardinals or for the Suns or for whatever team.
So you knocked on somebody's door and they like invited you in. And you had a meal and the whole 9 yards. Sit there, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, look at
absolutely. That. Yeah. I mean, I knock on the weekdays between 5 and 8. So I'm interrupting people, and the reason I do knock from 5 to 8 is because during the middle of the day, most people aren't home.
Right.
Now, there's more people because of what happened with COVID, but there's still not as many people as there are between 5 and 8. So. Right. I'm interrupting dinner technically almost every night. Either that or I'm interrupting kids going to sleep at 7:15, 7:30, right? So it's just adapting, being a chameleon immediately, right, to the door, right? And so that's been a challenging but amazing and
so it's
good experience.
It's fruitful you're having.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, what I do, it helps the environment, right? Helps us gain more electricity, and traditionally, APS versus SRP. APS, I'm going to save them money, right? SRP, sometimes I save them money. So, been doing solar for 9 years, and
you love it.
I have multiple different options for people. So most people like that as well. And
so when I buy it, you guys install it, service it. I mean, how does that work?
Great question. So I'm basically like the car insurance broker,
okay.
But I'm selling solar, right? So I have multiple different companies, multiple different options, and
so you can sell for it. Got it.
Yeah, and so the company that the person picks, right, for any odd reason, right, whatever one they pick, whether it's price or whatever, they look at reviews, etc. From there, then the company that they choose is the one that does all the work.
Got
right?
it.
So just like car insurance, if you were to get Geico does it. If you were to get State Farm does it, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So makes it pretty simplistic for me. I'm just the guy in the middle that helps them make the choice.
Right.
And shows them the information. So I'm really big on education. Just like I was in insurance, I make sure that they know exactly what they're getting, how it works, the inverters, the panels, etc. And I'll give them the right choice that I believe is good for them, and then they can make their own choice from there.
Right.
Based upon all the information I give them. So I have learned that feeding them education is better than being pushy. That's I'm a big educator. Hence me being a Kundalini yoga teacher, right? So I'm teaching them what they need to know.
I got this Kundalini instructor that door knocks, and I'm just trying to. I tell you, that's such a that's a. I don't know if it's a parallel universe or not. But you know what? It all works for you, and it works really well, and that's all that matters. And bringing it home. You're also tying this. There's a purpose, because you have a purpose-driven life. It's not going through life aimlessly, just because you live in Scottsdale and this is a great place, and I'm just gonna buy a fancy car like half the people I know, and do that whole thing. You have a purpose, right? Talk to me about purpose.
So my purpose came to me after starting my Kundalini yoga teacher training, and what it is, it's called Elevated Life Foundation.
Elevated Life Foundation. Is there a website for that?
Yes, elevatedlifefoundation.com. Okay. And I'm in the process of raising capital for it in the next month here. So where it came from is that as a child, teenager, etc., growing up with ADD, and we were kind of the guinea pigs, right? With the first Ritalin, the first antidepressants going up and down, and caused me a ton of, what's the word I'm looking for? Grief, anger, pain, frustration, sadness, etc. People would be like, "Oh, your ADD is kicking in, right?" Or what's going on? Why are you talking 9,000 miles a minute, right? So that does sometimes help in sales, but I've learned to actually calm that down as well. So where it came from, Elevated Life Foundation, I wanted to give kids the option to know that there are other options beyond taking pills. Right. With mindfulness, with meditation, and with some yoga. We can't necessarily call it yoga because people have the negative connotation of, oh, is that Buddhist, is that whatever. They try and make it into a religious thing where it's really not. It's really focused on your health and your mind and your well-being, right? There's never a mention of any religion in any part of it, right? So anyways, what I want to do is, and where it came from, so I am not inventing the wheel, I'm expanding the wheel. So there's another company called the Holistic Life Foundation in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. It started with three brothers, and they went into their neighborhood. It was underprivileged, quote, neighborhood.
Like brothers or like brothers?
Both.
Both. Brothers, brothers.
Brothers and brothers.
Yeah, okay, just making sure.
There you go.
Gotta be clear.
You said it, not me.
I can say it right.
You said it, not me. So yes, and they now they've been on every news station. They teach 4,300 students a year. What happens is that the kids will go, if they get into a discipline problem, right? They'll go to the meditation/mindfulness room. They have a conversation with the teacher. The teacher will talk with them so they can at least have a conversation and get out why, right? Which is a huge step for any child, to be able to expand and talk and have a conversation about why they did what they did. Oh, well, my brother does this, or my mom does that, or my dad does this. And then from there, they're able to have them do some mindfulness, they do some meditation, and they do some yoga, and they go back to class. Well, the proof is in the pudding. The suspensions have gone to zero, expulsions, they've all gone away, right? Now these kids are able to articulate better what's going on in the world, what's going on in their mind, what's going on at home, right? And then they're also learning ways to not have to act out in violence or get sad, frustrated, angry, right? They're learning techniques that'll help them throughout their life, with business, with family, being able to just calmly say, this is what I was doing. And if they get triggered, they're going to get triggered. Everybody gets triggered, right? But
what do you do? Triggered.
Never.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. But what can you do once you get triggered as a different version of that, right? So retraining neural pathways to understand, okay, here's my trigger. What do I do now? And it gives them the choice. And that's what I want for kids, is to be able to give them a choice. And
I love that.
Include nutrition with it too. Like different versions of nutrition, like we talked about with chia seed in the past, right? Having chia seed has been one of the biggest things that's helped me since I stopped taking medicine. I stopped taking Adderall, I stopped taking antidepressants. I now supplement it and use chia seed on a daily basis. So I'll take a tablespoon of chia seed. Chia seed you can get wherever, right? Doesn't matter what kind it is.
Right.
Put it in water. I let it sit overnight so that it opens up, because that's how you get the potency out of it, right? And then in the morning, I'll drink that. And then within about 45 minutes, I can definitely feel on the sides of my temples that it's actually kicking in and working. The reason that chia seed is great for people, has 3 times the amount of omega-3s, the biggest fish oil pill that you can take, and it helps give focus, right?
I love it.
People with ADD, we have underdeveloped frontal lobe cortex, so that's where the omega-3s kick in. You can do all your research you want on it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I have to say that I follow everything that you're saying because for a myriad of reasons. I mean, but I'm sitting here thinking about not just the kids. What if parents knew how? It's kind of like back in the '60s. They, when they got into parenting and trying to transform parents to not hit their kids but reason with them, right? If we had a guy like how to teach our kid yoga, like at a young, all kids, like just giving them that opportunity to understand that there's a different way to, to bring your your energy down, to control that, to react differently, and so on and so forth. That's basically, that's what you're saying. I'm going to pivot just a little bit. Well, I have to tell you, while we were having this conversation, I've been munching, and you have too, on the calamari, the buttermilk calamari with peppers and a few other things in it. But I have to tell you, it is amazing. It's delicious. You can get that here at Hotel Valley Ho Zuzu Lounge, which is going to be packed because it's going to be in season. But there's always a space for those that want to enjoy something here special. I want to pivot also into something that I know you do, and that is you're all about education, not just on your on your foundation side, but even we were talking about your business. You also do education in your business too.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So when I'm sitting down with every single customer, I do Solar 101, right? And Solar 101, I'm basically explaining to the customer what's present right now with each electric company in Phoenix, right? If I need to, I can do, South, meaning Tucson, et cetera, Casa Grande, Yuma, et cetera. But Solar 101 is basically panels, inverters, how the financing works, leasing, cash purchase, etc., how the sun hits the panels, how it converts DC to AC, how the time value of money, what happens when you sell your home, right? So that's basically the first 15 to 20 minutes of my presentation every time I sit down with someone for solar. And I feel like everyone needs to know what's going on with solar because solar is ever changing, right? I would tell you, every couple months we have something different going on. Right now the interest rates have been constantly changing. With APS, traditionally every year they will either raise the rates or change something. And so I really like educating people because that gives them the understanding and the knowledge that they need to make the most educated choice. So when they're sitting with me, at the end of the time frame, they have every question answered. They know exactly what they're getting, how it works, and the best option for them.
So it's an ongoing webinar for people then, right? They can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll have a webinar on that, and we're inviting people to that. Most people in the past, literally everyone's like, wow, this is the most education I've gotten from any solar person, just because usually they only have one thing that they're focusing on, one option that they're focusing on, and a lot of the guys don't take time to educate the customer and client on what they're actually getting and how it works.
That is awesome. So I have to tell you, it's interesting for me to get a little bit more understanding, clarity as far as in how you've been able to kind of create your ecosystem, of when people, you don't speak about balance. You never said balance in anything. You created your own balance, your own ecosystem, and your business resides in it. It's not the driver of it. It has a purpose. Everything is connected to a purpose, and I can definitely see you walk the talk and talk the walk. And I'm grateful that I know you. And thank you for coming into our podcast, the Craft Podcast today. And hopefully you enjoying that. Any parting words?
Come to Zuzu. Great food, great time.
Hey, you just had that. You had a mocktail, right?
I had a mocktail.
You know what was in that mocktail?
I have no idea, but it was real good.
What was in that mocktail.
It was very sweet, and I liked it a lot. And then I had the calamari. It was really tasty.
You had the pineapple bitters, tamarind, and ginger beer mocktail. Look at you, man. You just rocked it out.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I have my usual Sauvignon Blanc because I'm kind of a classy guy.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm very
Class,
gotta have
class,
that peeking
class.
out, that
Class,
type of
class,
thing.
class.
class.
All day. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. It's always good to have conversations with you, knowing you for as long as I have, and love to see
Hey, we both still look the same. That's all that matters. No, we look better. Forget the same. Look
Nobody
better.
knows how old we are.
Yeah, nobody knows. The trouble I've seen. Anyway, thank you very much, Scott Marion, here on the Craft Podcast, Hotel Valley Ho, Zuzu Lounge, Wednesday between 4 and 5 p.m. Thank you for being here.